Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Johanna Wagstaff with a quick update on Blizzard 2015. For those of you who have been interested in following the storm along, just wanted to give you a little bit of an update because, of course, there was a lot of hype leading up to the blizzard that hit New York City through to Boston and that's hitting Atlantic Canada right now. A lot of preliminary preparations went underway, basically shutting down some of the major U.S. Eastern Seaboard hubs like Boston and New York City. New York City seeing their subway shut down for the first time ever because of snow. Now, New York City did not see the 50 to 60 centimeters. Other parts of the East Coast did, but a lot of questions today about whether or not forecasters and officials made the right decisions in advance of the blizzard that didn't quite lead up to or meet the forecast anyway for New York City. So I want to show you a little bit about what I'm seeing. Right now, just about the 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, the center of the low is moving towards Nova Scotia. We're seeing northeasterly winds wrap moisture and winds back around it, so still getting heavy snow both for the Maritimes, New England, and parts of the East Coast. Boston, 50 centimeters and counting. This is where the forecast did verify. This is what the forecast were calling for. Eastern sections of Massachusetts, more like 75 centimeters. We have widespread power outages, coastal flooding, near zero visibility, and these are the kinds of things we're starting to see up towards the Maritimes. So this, for a huge portion of the East Coast, did verify. Now, what happened to New York City? Forecasts were calling for 50 to 60 centimeters. In reality, 20 centimeters for Central Park. More like 30 centimeters for other sections of the island, but the heaviest of the snow actually fell to the east. So what happened for New York City? Well, I want to take you back to some of the initial forecasts. Many of the forecasts that meteorologists trust were bringing the center of the low closer to land. And in reality, the center of the low was about 70 to 100 kilometers farther east than the forecast models. That sounds like a lot, but that's not a big track variation for a storm that's so huge anyway. Its width is about 1,200 kilometers. So to see a variation of 75 kilometers is not that unusual for a forecast. That meant, though, that the heaviest of the snow didn't fall in New York as expected. It fell 75 kilometers to the east of New York, again in line with that track. So Long Island saw the 50 to 60 centimeters, New York the 20 to 30 centimeters. We're still seeing blizzard conditions today, as I've mentioned, from Boston up towards Maine and in through Canada. We've still got another 6+ hours of the blizzard conditions with strong winds continuing through tomorrow. For Newfoundland, this is more of a starting off as snow changing over to rain story, but again, a huge impact for a single storm. And I just want to talk briefly about models. Most weather agencies around the world produce models that are basically snapshots of the conditions in the atmosphere at future dates, and that's what we use to help predict the weather. Now, the National Weather Service has come to rely on the European model for snow forecasting. Snow forecasting is incredibly tough. Trying to get those narrow, intense bands of snow, especially as they move off of a body of water, is very hard, but the European model usually does a better job than the other models. The GFS, which is an American model, in the past hasn't done so well with snow forecasts, but the GFS just went through a major upgrade a couple of weeks ago, and it turns out the GFS nailed the snow forecast. They had lesser amounts for New York City, and then all of those amounts we're seeing now for the rest of the East Coast. And this, is something that forecasters can use moving forward. We can put possibly more trust in this new GFS model, and it's also a big learning lesson about communication, and that's a big one here. How do forecasters and scientists communicate the uncertainty in their forecast to public service authorities? And that's something that I think both sides need to work on moving forward, where there will be more and more frequent larger storms hitting more populated areas. So again, being able to communicate that uncertainty is something that I think both sides can work on. But did New York City make the right call in shutting the city down? I'd say probably. Our forecast models really didn't start to come together until late Monday night, and we did see widespread blizzard conditions and whiteouts for New York City, and the forecast did verify. It just shifted a little farther to the east. I'll see if I can get some more details for tonight.